I'm
Me
gonna do a
neither.
shot.
Guys, thanks to Mattress Firm. We love Mattress Firm. They've been our sponsor all season long. We are wrapping up the Bachelorette, but if you need a great mattress to unjunk your sleep, Mattress Firm is the place to go. Mattressfirm.com, or you can talk to a sleep expert at the store and get the perfect mattress for you. I highly recommend doing that, and you will unjunk your sleep. Okay, the Bachelorette finale. They basically gave us everything that happened right off the bat. You know, they started off with this Jesse Palmer dark room. He teased the cheating. He teased the text messages. So we knew shit was gonna hit the fan big time. Basically, I'm gonna say right now, I don't even think there's a point of talking about either of their actual proposals. Gabby and Eric, yes, but like Tino and Rachel's proposal, it's you normally get so invested into the actual proposals. The proposals we could have just skipped right over because it felt like it did. Tino's proposal was robotic anyway. Let's get into what happened with Rachel and Tino. I'll try and sum it up as well as I can from the information that I have gathered. It appears that once the show started to air in the in between time and before that, Rachel and Tino were having some issues. They were having some arguments. They were not broken up and they were not on a break, but they were having some arguments. And then after that, they started to resolve things. Things started to get a little bit better. And Tino then revealed that during that time, he had kissed a girl. And now this girl is somebody that he had known before the show. He said, I guess he had not met her, but they were talking or something. I don't know. And they ran into each other at a bar after he came back from filming, and one thing led to another, and a kiss happened, is what we were told. And that made things very tense, and we got to see this conversation between Rachel and Tino in the happy couple house of them trying to talk it out, and it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It was so uncomfortable, and I would love to know, Kelly, Rhea, your thoughts. Rhea, why don't we start with you on your thoughts on what was going down in that conversation between Rachel and Tino?
I thought this entire thing was not enjoyable to watch at all. Usually, when there's drama on the show, I am one who's like, yes, give me all the drama. I want to watch it all unfold. This was so painfully uncomfortable to watch. It seemed like Tino, we know what happened. Tino kissed another girl, all right? And so Rachel kept being like, tell me what happened. We know what happened. He kissed another girl. Tino then broke out a fucking journal of all the things that Rachel said to him that made him feel like he should cheat. I would have advised Tino to not do that because it did not come across well at all. Tino didn't really seem sorry or remorseful. If he was like, oh my God, Rachel, I had a lapse in judgment because I'm not saying what he did was so wrong, but it just seemed like he didn't really think what he did was wrong because he kept saying, "Oh, I thought that this relationship was over. You said you were." It seemed like they were not on the same page at all. They
No.
should have been on the same page before he went and hooked up with somebody else and kissed a girl. And that same page would have been, "We are no longer dating." That was did not seem like they came to a clear conclusion that that was going to be the case. Fast forward to them being on stage together, it seems like there's something missing from this story because it seemed like Tino was going to bring something up that Rachel was like, are you sure you want to bring that up, Tino? And then he was like, I think Tino was wrong in what he did because I don't think it was clear that the relationship was over. But the way that Tino acted on stage, and not the way he acted at the house, because the way he acted at the house was very frustrating and infuriating. And I would have been like, speak, just speak. Like, come on, like, tell us what's wrong. Although, whatever. You know, when you're fighting with somebody and you want to say something really bad because you know it's right, like, you know what you're about to say is right and true, but you know that the other person is never going to understand what you're saying or agree with you. so you just hold it in. That was the
Yes.
vibe I got from Tino on stage with Rachel. That he wanted to say something so badly, but he knew whatever he said, Rachel was going to spin it, so he kept it inside. I think
Well,
Tino. I
Rhea,
think
I'll go off literally off of what you just said. Like, I very much think that Tino, in keeping that journal and having that at the ready for when he fucked up, a list of times where Rachel fucked up that justifies his fuck up, I think that he, like you said, feels completely justified in what he did. And I feel like he very much thinks that his punishment now, present day, is not worth the crime. Like, it doesn't fit the crime for him. Like, him making out with a girl when their relationship is kind of up in the air and nobody really knows what the fuck is going on, to him doesn't make sense for like all of this public onslaught when Rachel also made a bunch of promises that she didn't keep. But her promises were like, I'm going to go to therapy 3 times a week. And instead she goes once every couple of weeks. Like that's different. Like the promises of like, I'm not going to fuck anybody else. I'm not going to make out with anybody else. I'm not going to cheat on you. Like those promises carry more weight than the promises that Tino has written down in his fucking diary to try to throw back at Rachel to make himself feel better for being a shitty person. Like it makes
yeah.
no fucking sense. And I think you're 100% correct in thinking that like it was uncomfortable. And I'm not saying Rachel is not to blame in any capacity because it sounds like Rachel is difficult to deal with on a day-to-day basis. Like I'll say that right now. Like it sounds like Rachel doesn't quite know what she wants, and anybody that's along for the ride like is also going to go on that ride with her. Like she's trying to figure her life out, and they're going to have to go along and figure her life out with her. And it seems like she hasn't found a guy that's willing to go along with the roller coaster that she's riding. Like that just kind of seems that's how it is. And Tino kind of thought he was that guy. He's clearly not that guy. And instead of like owning up to the fact that he's just not that guy, he's going to instead take detailed minute by minute notes about the date and the time and the minute that Rachel promised she was going to go to therapy every single day and then instead only went like once a month. Like I think
Yeah.
that that's childish and ridiculous, and it's just it's like building in an excuse for him to fuck up later and then throw it in her face as like a, well, I only did this because of you, but in reality he wanted to do it all along.
I think Tino was absolutely in the wrong. Like I think it was
Mhm.
very clear
Yes.
that
Yeah.
they did not end their relationship and he cheated on her, which is wrong.
Mhm.
I think that
Yes.
is couldn't be more clear that Tino was in the wrong and the way he acted at that house was pretty awful. The people in the chat
Yes.
are confused right now thinking we're taking Tino's side. I don't think anything
No,
we said
no.
seemed like we were taking Tino's side in any
No,
capacity.
I thought I
Just
what in
because
what
I
world
said
is that taking Tino's
right,
side?
just
I think that's
because
we called Tino a child
yeah,
just
and
now.
you could go read our tweets. And just because I said it seems like there's being something cut from the conversation does not mean I'm taking Tino's side. It just
Right.
seems like Tino was holding something in that there was something left unsaid between them there in a conversation that it was clear he wanted to say it but wasn't saying it.
Well, here's the thing.
Mhm.
It sounds like Rachel and Tino were having issues, right? So Tino, in his defense, like in his not defending him, but in his defense to Rachel, he wanted to throw back all of these things that happened between the two of them while they were fighting to justify his actions. That's what he was trying to do. So, unfortunately, like he cheated. So that really negates everything here. If he did not cheat, Tino could have brought up some of these issues. They could have talked it out. They could have seen like they could have actually talked more about what was going on. But it feels like in that moment, and remember, like this is still TV, and I'm sure there are some things like Rachel and Tino don't want to put on television. And at the beginning, when they're having these fights, it really, from what Rachel was saying, felt like they were talking about really deeply personal things. And Tino was on the edge of his seat to say those out loud, which would have been an absolute disaster because it's just inappropriate and is not the time and place to air something out. And especially if he's using it in defense of cheating on her. And that's why, the whole thing is like, they just kept talking in circles because they're not going to get what they want. Rachel wanted him to just own up and apologize and take responsibility for his actions. Tino's entire thing was, well, but then this and then this. And also, anybody, by the way, if your significant other is taking notes on statements that you've said when you're in arguments. Bad guy.
That was
Red flag.
wild.
Red
Weird as fuck.
fucking
That
flag.
was
Weird as
so
fuck.
He
wild.
opened that notebook
Yeah.
and was like, well, you said that you would give back the ring and we would go back to dating, or like if you weren't going to wear the ring after the final rose, or you said this. It's like, did he have these arguments with Rachel and then go home and pull out his notebook and be like, and then she said, and then she said, and then she said that?
It's so
Like,
weird.
it's like, it's crazy to me. I don't know if that, like, and they're talking a lot about therapy, and I'm glad that they were having that conversation, that both of them or one of them or together, something that therapy was needed. And that's a good thing at that point if they were trying to work through their issues. But at the end of the day, he cheated. Rachel has every right to not continue a relationship after that happens, despite whatever Tino wants to throw at her or say from any prior argument or fight or whatever they want to, whatever they want to get through. And this led to a very uncomfortable conversation on stage as well, where it felt like they were just continuing to talk in circles. And then Jesse Palmer brought Avon out. It was a big, like, WWE setup moment. And I will say, we can really dislike everything Tino said and did at this point of the show. Bringing Avon out and having that setup felt like just cruel at this point. Like, Tina,
I hated it.
they've been through a very uncomfortable conversation. They've not only have they aired the previous one, they are sitting there live talking to each other, and then it's like, oh well, now let's pile on here. Let's make everybody hate Tino even more. But honestly, that move like backfires as you send Avon out, and then Tino's sitting there looking like a chump, like he just had this conversation, and Rachel's smiling ear to ear, being like, Avon, save me, take me out of this.
Yeah.
It was
Completely.
wild.
And it's like, yeah,
also
sure, she
wild.
thinks it's funny or thinks it's cool or whatever, like to put the beat down on Tino and agree to be going on a date with Avon right in front of his face. But in reality, like watching that on TV was fucking awkward and weird. I just didn't like, yes, we hate Tino right now, but like Tino looked like shit tonight. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, like he looked like fucking haggard. Like, I don't know if
the other conversation he did too.
If it's like the guilt or like right, but all the conversations when things have gone wrong, like Tino's been like Mr. Hot Guy the whole time. All of a sudden he looks like a disheveled piece of shit constantly. So clearly he's like affected by this. Like however much he wants to let on, like however much he wants to be a dick, he's he's making out with other girls, he's doing whatever. Clearly he's not used to like the public eye. He's not used to, clearly not used to owning up for his actions. So it's like a lot of things at once where he looks like a piece of trash that they wheeled out on the stage for everybody to dump more garbage on top of. And then all of a sudden they bring Avon out and have Rachel like agree to a date in his face. Like, I just don't think the punishment fits the crime. Like, I don't think Tino getting drunk after this reality TV experience and making out with some random whorebag in the bar means that he gets to be chastised forever. Like, is that crazy? Like, I don't know if I'm being crazy or not, but I just don't like, obviously it was bad. Rachel should be mad at him. They should be broken up. I don't think that we need to like literally cancel Tino forever for making out with another girl when they weren't even really engaged. Like, is that crazy?
They were engaged. They were engaged.
They were engaged.
Yeah.
True. Okay, yes. But you know what I mean? Like Bachelor engaged. I feel like
Yes.
I feel like that's an important thing. Like Bachelor engaged versus real engaged is, as much as we want to pretend like it's not different, it's different.
I also think that Bachelor knows how like brutal Bachelor Nation could be, and they know how everybody's going to react to this Tino drama. Like they know everyone's going to hate Tino after this, right? So like
for sure,
that's kind of like enough pile on.
Right, it was the nail in the coffin.
Wasn't to me really necessarily like, so awful to Tino, because I felt like whatever, that was going to happen anyway. More so, if Rachel is upset about what's happening with Tino and what had happened, I think she needs time to heal from that before she just jumps back into dating Avon. Like,
Yes.
you ended things with Avon for a reason because he couldn't give you what you wanted. And now things didn't work out with Tino. So we're just going to try things with Avon. Like, I think Rachel just needs time to
Yes.
heal, figure out herself, heal from the situation with Tino, and then move forward. And then if she then decides, okay, I want to try things with Avon, okay. But I think just jumping from thing to thing, conversation, things are so heavy and it's fun for the moment, but like I just think the girl needs a breath right now. Like I don't think it would be
I
a bad,
I
and
could
I
not
also
agree
think
more.
it wouldn't be awful for Avon to also take a step and say, she ended things with me for Tino because I wouldn't propose. Maybe I shouldn't be giving her a second chance immediately just because the guy she got engaged to cheated on her. You know what I mean?
Right, like,
Like Avon needs
Is
to have
Even
respect
not
for himself
concerned?
as well.
Yes.
If time passes and they want to try dating again, sure. But I think everybody in this situation needs time.
Is Avon not concerned at this very moment that he's literally just lapping up the sloppy seconds of Tino? Like, I know that we like
Well,
that's like
by
a
the way,
high
Kelly,
school
I do
joke.
think
That's like
producers like played a major role in sending him out. Like, I don't think Avon was
for sure.
like I don't think
For
Avon was
sure.
like, I really want to come out and talk to Rachel at that moment. Like, that was a setup.
Definitely.
That was a complete setup.
They had to have,
They'll
and it was, and
they'll
I will say
talk.
it was a little awkward, like
Yeah,
top to bottom. It was a little awkward having him come out and like do whatever.
yeah.
But realistically, like she fucking rejected him. She rejected him in like a very immature way. Like we all saw that. We had talked shit about Rachel like last week, 2 weeks ago, whenever she rejected the shit out of Avon. Avon tried to act like an adult about it, and she just wasn't picking up what he was putting down. She was so focused on Tino. She was so focused on her like thought of reality that she was trying to portray. Like I don't know, it seems bizarre that he would come out and like grovel. Like he wasn't groveling on his knees, but he came out like, so want to go out on a date. Like it was so cheesy that it seemed like so planned in the worst way, and it made them all look like fools in my opinion.
Yeah, but
Like they're all
I think
better than that,
Fran's right in
all
the fact that it's definitely a producer doing. Like,
for sure.
I
But
guess it
like
matters what happens
at what point
after.
do you sacrifice your own
And I
integrity? Like is
also
Avon
wish
not being like, hey, I feel like I look like an asshole right
They
now
don't I
begging to
don't think
take
they have a lot of
Rachel out to
I don't think they have a
drinks.
lot of free will in this scenario, Kelly. Like I think
Yeah,
like if
that's
a
true.
producer
That's
says this
true.
is what you're doing, they're like, okay. Like I don't
Ugh,
re-
I
like
just
I'm
would
sure they
never
can
like after
argue, but
yeah.
I'm sure they can
Just
argue, but I don't think they can argue a
after the
lot.
way Rachel was down his fucking throat like that, for him to immediately next episode like come out and be like, "So, still down for a drink?" I'd be like, "No, dude. Like I treated you like shit. Like you deserve better than this." Like I feel like I don't know. I think I'm just bummed out because Avon's not the bachelor
I
and
was
we
gonna
have
say I
Zach
wish
instead.
Avon was the bachelor, but
Yeah,
clearly
can we
he's
talk
not
about
ready to get
that?
engaged, so they can't make him the bachelor because then that
Yeah.
negates the point of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, they were
Even though they should
that's
probably
why
change that rule all around because
yeah.
I don't know if anybody is really that ready to get engaged. We're seeing.
Yeah, that's why Zach
Yeah.
was an easy choice because Zach, regardless of their breakup, he made it very clear multiple times, just out loud, saying like, uh, I am ready to be engaged," and doing like when he made the whole big deal about the age thing, and he was like, "No, I am ready." So it's definitely an easy safe choice at that point. But Rachel, the whole joke now for the rest of the show is that Rachel left with Avon. She's not there. She doesn't have to do the show anymore. I don't know where they actually were. But
Please.
that was like the whole joke is, oh, she's run off with Avon now. And this is where we see the end of Gabby's relationship journey, I guess I could say, or just from the show. It's not over. We see Eric's proposal. It was also, I will throw in, the whole formatting of this was very interesting because they showed Rachel and Gabby having a conversation before Rachel spoke to Tino in that happy house situation or whatever they call it, happy couple house.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and Gabby's just like, she's got her engagement ring on. So it's like, oh, Gabby's engaged. Like, why would we not just
I didn't even notice that.
show both engagements from the show and then go to the live part? But they chopped it up. So it's like, okay, Gabby's engaged. We see Eric propose. Um, and then Gabby and Eric come out together. They look very happy. They clearly love each other. And I think Gabby is supporting him and is staying by his side while they get through everything that has happened too. Now, I think we saw the texts. They put the text on the screen. They talked about the text. Eric gave an explanation for the text, and honestly, as far as explanations go, it was decent. I think he did own up to the fact that like hey, he was leading a girl on. He took the easy way out of a situation instead of just like ending things with a girl. He totally led her on. Gabby made it clear that he had told her about these messages before they came out publicly. So it's something that they had discussed prior to it actually happening, which I'm sure worked in his favor. And then they kind of rushed Eric off the stage. But let's talk about the text first. What you guys thought about the text? What you thought with what Gabby said and what Eric said? Rhea, what did you think?
I think that Gabby is incredibly mature. I think that everybody can take a note out of Gabby's book just from watching her. I thought the way that she handled herself and handled this situation was very mature because she could have freaked out over these text messages. You know, she could have ended the engagement and said, "Hey, you thought this wasn't real." You know, when they put it like, hey, this happened before he met Gabby. Your feelings can change when you meet somebody. And so I think that's very clear what happened here. Eric just went on the show thinking, hey, and I think a lot of people do that. I think of the example with Molly May from Love Island, where she did an interview and she was like, no, I didn't go on this show looking for love. I went on because it was a great opportunity and I ended up finding love. And she's been with Tommy Fury for years now. And that was very honest of her. And so I think when they put it like that, it's like, okay, yeah, true. People do go on the show for opportunity. There's a lot more pressure from the Bachelor, Bachelorette. And I just think if Gabby can forgive him and work through it with him and support him, then I think we all can do the same. I trust Gabby's judgment. I don't know. She just seems incredibly mature to me. And so I think if your partner is going to be okay with that and forgive you and move on, then I think I'm happy for them. They looked like they were really in love. They look like they really support each other. I love that she called him an asshole, but still supports him. To me, that's true love. She's like, I'm going to call you out on your bullshit and how you treated this girl wasn't right. But I also believe how you treat me and how you're going to treat me. And I'm rooting for them. They look, I'll be honest, like I was skeptical about whether or not Gabby was engaged or whether she was going to find love or if it was with Eric. But from watching them together, I feel like they're the real deal. I think they support each other. They love each other. And I trust Gabby's judgment.
I agree. I think
agree
right.
too.
Yeah, I think
I agree big time with
yeah.
everything you said. That was very well said. I think that Gabby, like, I don't know. I feel like we've all always been on the fence with Gabby. Like, does she know what she's doing? Is she just along for the ride? Like, or at least I have. I've always been like, what are Gabby's
Right.
intentions here
Which
on this
Kelly,
show?
by
Like,
the
is
way,
she
could play a role. And I said this too. I think I may have texted this to you guys, but I, when you see those text messages, Gabby, Gabby could be like, you know what? I get it. I went on The Bachelor and I didn't
Yeah,
really think that that was going to turn out the way it did either. So I think they probably have that agreement. It's like they can have that conversation of like, oh, did you think this was going to happen going on the show? Or what reasons did you go on?
totally.
So I'm sure she relates to that in a way that it might not affect her as much as the fans reading it who are like, oh, he said the show's not real or like whatever and getting upset.
Totally.
Yeah.
People are
Totally. It's that
asking
mutual.
about the post-show texts. Gabby clearly knows about them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
they were
not
showing
up
them on
for
screen.
us to be like, what about those post-show texts, Gabby? She
Yeah.
clearly saw
No.
them. So if she's okay with them, then,
Yeah, and I
then
also really
she's
do
okay with them.
I really do think that the one line of him saying like I think about you all the time, it comes off wrong. His intentions to me in that text was he came back from the show and then maybe was like, "Oh, I really fucking handled that wrong," and tried to like
Yeah,
apologize.
Yeah. I mean,
Was it
in my
worded right?
opinion,
No, I don't think it
right.
was worded right,
In
but
my
I don't.
opinion,
Yeah,
definitely inappropriate. And that's why I
yeah,
said Gabby is incredibly mature because I feel like other people would have been like, fuck that, fuck this immediately. But
for
she
sure.
trusts Eric enough that he loves her and wants to be with her. So she's like, all right, let's work past this and move past this.
yeah.
Can I also say that I think that it kind of helps that they haven't known each other so long that they both have decided like, hey, we're gonna take this time to be honest with each other and be real with each other, and we're gonna try to make this relationship work,
Yeah.
and we're gonna tell each other all of our bullshit. Like, from Eric's point of view, yes, I was talking to this girl before I came on the show. I kind of left it in a bad spot. I'm probably gonna text her again. Like, I gotta figure it out. Whatever. I'm sure Gabby's been, like you said, I'm sure Gabby's been in similar situations. It's like it's just easier for them to be honest with each other because they're not so like intertwined in their lives. They're it's easy for them to express what they're doing, express what they're feeling because they don't know each other well enough yet, realistically, to really be judgmental of each other because they don't know what each other has done yet. Like they have neither of them has room to judge at this point. So they're just kind of like, all right, let's both be honest with each other. Let's tell each other everything as much as we can and then move forward from there, like depending on who's cool with what. And as of now, they both seem cool with whatever it is that they've done in the past 6 months to a year or whatever it is.
Yeah, and then, like I said before, Eric was kind of what it felt like abruptly rushed off stage. I know, I think a lot of people thought that they were going to address the photo. That I have a ridiculous siren. Can you guys hear that flying by my?
I
Yeah,
can
we're
now.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's loud. Wow.
Rest in peace. Yeah,
Oh
whatever's
my,
happening there.
that's very loud. Okay.
It's gone now.
Yes. So I think everybody thought since the text messages were brought up, it was like, okay, I think we're also going to bring up the picture of Eric from high school is in the yearbook. He's dressed as Jimi Hendrix, is blackface, and Eric himself has addressed it on his Instagram. So it's like the texts were not addressed by really anybody within the show. This was addressed by Eric and has been discussed a lot in the last couple of weeks and was not brought up during this episode at all, which I thought was ridiculous at this point. Like I know he talked about it on um Instagram, but it was a written caption. It's another thing to say the words out loud live and address the situation. They just didn't touch on it at all, and I don't know if that's something that Eric will speak on later. If they want him to, if he's allowed to, I don't know I don't know what rules ABC puts into place here. And I also think Gabby and Rachel are going to be doing a lot of press now, and they are on our show, and it's just like it puts Gabby in a tough place to not have Eric be able to answer for his own actions. And if Gabby's the one doing press, like it's not Gabby's place to
Yeah.
speak for him in a situation like that. Eric has to be the one to own up to his actions and speak on it in that situation. It's not Gabby's responsibility, but now just skipping over it completely puts Gabby in an uncomfortable situation now too, and she is gonna, she's gonna be doing a lot of press, and it becomes a conversation now that they did not talk about it.
Yeah, I think it was wild that they didn't bring it up considering that they have brought up other people's mistakes in the past. And it was like, why has that been brought up in the past? But now when it comes to Eric, it's not being brought up. Like, why does it get brought up for some people, but then for other people, it doesn't get brought up? Doesn't really make sense to me. As for Gabby doing press, because we are having Gabby and Rachel on the show, I don't think it's up to Gabby to answer for Eric. So for people being like,
I agree.
oh, are you not going to ask Gabby about it? It's like, this was not Gabby's doing. And so I don't think Gabby should have to answer for something Eric did.
It should be Eric.
Yeah.
Totally. I agree with that. Are you guys excited to have them both on tomorrow? What are you going to ask? I'm like so jealous. I could die. Like I'm so jealous. I could die.
There is a lot to ask.
There is so much to
There's
ask.
so much to talk about with them. Like, what do you think their attitude is going to be coming in? Like, do you think they're going to come in like you guys were all talking shit about us all season, like whatever? They would never. I feel like they're like too nice.
Who knows? Who knows?
I mean, if they do, that's fine. I will say,
I'd respect
my
if
opinion
they
changed.
If they came in like that, I respect it more.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see what happens. And then honestly, Gabby stayed in the hot seat for a while after Eric left, still talking about their relationship, still talking about the two of them. So it's interesting that they had Eric literally leave the stage and then continued to talk to Gabby. And then it was like the whole joke, oh, Rachel was supposed to be here. No, okay, we get it. They then said goodbye to Gabby, and they announced Zach as the Bachelor, which they dragged on for far too long. The fact that they were able to do this whole other production and then not ask the necessary questions that needed to be asked during this show is just incredible. And it was the last thing that Jesse Palmer said, but I literally I was like, is Jesse Palmer gaslighting us right now? Like he ended the show looking into the camera and being like, we hear all of your concerns, Bachelor Nation. We hear you. We see you. I'm like, you're fucking lying to us, right? Like right through the camera. Like it was crazy. But Zach's the new Bachelor. I think the reaction, I think everybody's joint reaction is kind of just like, okay.
Exactly. My exact reaction was, "Okay, fine, I
Like,
guess."
okay, I guess.
Although I'll say Devin pointed out, I think it was Devin that pointed out in our group chat that Zach is arguably bigger than Jesse Palmer. I didn't realize how, like, big and tall he was until she said that, and I looked at the 2 of them together, and I was like, "Oh, wow, that guy's huge."
I
So
did.
I had no idea.
It didn't really seem like that this season, but I have to pay closer attention at a different point. I know people always have different opinions on who they want to be the Bachelor. It is going to be Zach. They did
Yep.
the unfortunate first limo entrances during the live show. They brought out 5 women. Bachelor Nation got to vote via Twitter on who got the first impression rose. I don't know if they are trying to be more like Love Island. They want to be more interactive with the fans, take the power away from the actual contestants. But we met 5 women. It's incredibly uncomfortable. Everyone was nervous. Zach was super nervous. Zach couldn't remember any of the girls' names after Jesse Palmer was like, "What are all? Do you remember any of the girls' names?" And he remembered none. And then Jesse just didn't let it end. Like it
It
was
was embarrassing. It
so
was mean. It was
uncomfortable.
mean for him to do that. It was like, obviously, he's not gonna remember. He's on a live stage for the first time. He's just announced he's the Bachelor. Yes, he has these 5 girls come out, and they've done this before. They've done this situation where, like, they'll do a quick 5 girls or 5 guys, like, rose ceremony for whatever, but they never quiz them at the end. Like, that was not fair. Not
Yeah.
fair.
No, it absolutely was not fair. But the country, Patronation, voted
Yeah.
for Brianna. She definitely had the best one, I would say, by far. I
Yeah,
think
she
she
was
won in a
great. She was the
landslide,
best, for sure.
and
Yep.
she's really cute. And we'll obviously see more of her. She got the first impression rose. We saw a new Paradise trailer that shows that they're definitely going to be doing the Casa More situation from Love Island as well. So ABC
Mhm.
is just kind of spinning that around a little bit. But we
Yep.
can take some questions from the YouTube chat. I'm sure people have a lot of thoughts while Rhea gathers those.
I feel like I'm gonna sneeze any minute. I've been trying not to sneeze,
Well,
but it feels like it's coming. I'm just warning you guys in advance. I'm trying not to. Allergies, man.
I want to thank Vizzy for sponsoring our questions. Vizzy Hard Seltzer is absolutely delicious. I think we're into that tailgating season now. If you get an early morning, you can get the Vizzy Mimosa packs. They're really great. You can go to VizzyHardSeltzer.com to find out where you can get Vizzy near you. Highly recommend. They are delicious. They're multiple variety packs and the mimosa pack, so they're great for heading into fall. All right, Rhea, what do we got?
What was worse, Becca and Ari's breakup or Rachel and Tino's? I think the answer is so obvious.
Becca and Ari,
I think it's Becca and Ari.
without question.
Ari left Becca for another woman on the show.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It wasn't like Tino
and
was
with
like,
like
never
no
mind,
remorse.
I want Gabby. It was,
Yeah,
I will say though,
but still, we've never had somebody straight up cheat, I
yeah,
think, which I honestly feel bad for Rachel. Like,
yeah, that
Rachel was
sucks.
wrong sometimes during this season, which we talked about last week, but
Mhm.
what Tino did was wrong.
the
Yes.
action of Ari taking the ring back was
Yeah.
so preposterous. Like just the concept of what was happening. The conversation between Rachel and Tino was for me sometimes almost harder to watch just from that's talking in circles and the I need to go outside, I need to come back inside, I got to go outside again. Like it just
That's fair.
they're honestly they're on pretty equal playing field. I'll say.
Yeah. That's fair.
And
The
also, but
conversation between Tino and Rachel, you're right, I think was worse because it just wouldn't end.
Yeah.
Like nobody would secede. Like nobody would be like, all right, fine, whatever. At least with Ari and Becca, it was brutal and it was horrible, but it was very much like a band-aid that he ripped off and just like got the fuck out of there. Like it was sociopathic behavior for sure, but it was quick and short and we just hated him forever. Tino's gonna drag this out for the rest of the time. Like his dad's probably making a Facebook status right now.
But I think,
You know?
I actually think, now that I'm thinking about it, it was crazy. I think Becca and Ari's was crazier, but Ari clearly made the right decision. Like
Yeah, for him.
Ari
Yeah.
going with his gut, saying, "Hey, I want to change this here," was actually the right thing to do in his heart and his head. Like it was crazy. It was definitely crazy, but it clearly worked out for him. And so he was right by following his heart. It was just one of the crazier things we've ever seen. So because I think when you like, this isn't so like, yes, it's crazy that Tino did this, but I feel like we just haven't seen before. So I don't know. It goes back and forth.
Yeah. Other question?
Did we like seeing Sean and Catherine?
No.
I think they wheel out Sean when they have like a good old relatable bachelor that they're like, this young buck wants to get engaged. Who should he look up to? Sean Lowe, because he's one of the only bachelors that has a successful relationship with kids. That they can say like, oh, well, you could be like Sean. I mean, who else could they bring out? I guess they could bring out Ari, but I don't know how well that goes over.
Nobody would.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw Sean and Catherine came on screen and me and my bestie were like, boo, like stop. Like and I loved Sean and Catherine like when they were on.
Yeah.
I like seeing them doing well in their life, whatever. But don't trot them out after so long. Like people watching The Bachelor right now don't even know Sean and Catherine. Like, why are they still trotting them out as if we're supposed to know? Like they give no background for them ever. And they just trot them out when they feel like it. Like it's kind of crazy. Like anybody else that they bring out, they always give like right, but they always give like a lot of background to whoever else they bring out. But with Sean and Catherine, they're just like Sean Lowe and Catherine, here they are, and then they're like, just gotta stay together, just gotta work on marriage, and it's just it feels very like not like a gunpoint, but it feels very like, all right, we have this, we're fulfilling obligations right now by doing this. And I'm not saying that they are bad at doing it. I'm saying that like leave them alone. They've paid their dues. I feel they don't have to trot them out anymore.
Yeah.
All right, last question of the night, and it's the one that's being repeated the most. Who do we think Tino was on the phone with?
Good question. When he excused himself and got on the phone and was like, "You're back."
I mean, probably like his dad.
It has to be his parents.
Like I would guess somebody in his family because I don't think he's really able to share too much information with what's going on in the show to anybody else. So that would be my boring but probably accurate guess.
The same. I think that and I think that's why his parents are so like they're so involved now. They feel like they've heard his side of the story from the beginning. They're making these Facebook statuses. They're involving themselves.
Yeah, interesting that they didn't have them sitting after the final rose.
Right, of course. Well, they probably refused. They probably were like, again, the show is a farce. It's like, I'm sorry, your son cheated on his girlfriend and now he's paying the piper. Like, what do you want to do? Like, I hate that. I hate when people just decide that something is bullshit because they're not cast in the best light. Like that doesn't mean that it's bullshit. It just means like the situation was bullshit. Like you acted like an asshole and sorry, this blows dick, but like don't now blame the show, Tino's parents. I hate Tino's parents, I think. Is what it is. Ever since we've been talking about their Facebook statuses, I fucking hate their shit. Like I think that they are obnoxious. I think that their statuses are self-indulgent, self-important, and they just need to chill the fuck out. Like their son fucked up on a TV show. They clearly didn't want him to go on to begin with, but don't backpedal with your fucking Facebook statuses, Tino's dad. Like I'm over it. I'm so over it. I am.
I
I'm
might
very over it.
actually on purpose mute Kelly now.
You just love you love the Facebook statuses.
Oh man! All right, should we
I'm
catch some
over them.
Sems?
I
Our
am over
final
them.
rose.
Would you not feel pissed if your parents did that shit? Like, I feel like I'd be so mad at my parents.
Kelly, I'm
Like, I'd be
cutting
so
you
mad.
off. I am.
All right, I'm
cutting
gonna
you
go
off.
first. I'm going
Cut me off. Cut
to.
me
I'm
off.
cutting you off. We're handing out roses. We're cutting stems. Rhea,
Mhm.
pause for the thing to go. And Rhea, why don't you go first?
Okay, I am going to. I feel like this is necessary. It is a very, very, very obvious stem cut, but I'm going to do it because I was so adamant that Tino was the winner. And we're forgetting that I was right, by the way. We're
That is
forgetting
true.
that
You
they
were
did end
right.
up
You
engaged.
were right.
And I called that from the first episode. But I
Actually,
was
you were
in
so
on
right.
Tino. And I want everyone to know how out I am on Tino. So I'd like to cut his stem because I gave him, I'm pretty sure I may have gave him my first rose. And so to end it right, I want to cut his.
Okay, fair.
And
Full circle.
I'm
There
going to
you go.
give my rose to Grandpa John. For obvious
That's
reasons.
nice.
That's sweet. That's very sweet, even though he doesn't want to be the bachelor. Kelly, what you got?
I'm gonna cut the stem of. Have I already cut Tino's parents before? I think I did like
I
last
mean,
week.
after that rant, you have to now.
I'm gonna double cut them.
Okay.
Because I hate them.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
hate them. I hate them more than I hate Tino. So cut the stems of his parents. I'm gonna give the rose to. You know what? I'm gonna turn it all around. We've been talking shit for weeks. I'm gonna give the rose to Rachel because she sat on that fucking stage and she relived that bullshit and she watched it. And yes, I think she made a lot of mistakes, whatever, but she handled that better than I would have ever handled that. So that just seemed like a fucking nightmare to go through. So she deserves the rose tonight.
I would have gotten a whole lot angrier.
Same.
I will be giving very similar. I'm going to give my rose to Gabby. I think Gabby is very she handled this whole thing very well. I think she cracks people up. She knows the right moment to throw in a joke, but is also very serious. And I do think that I'm hoping the best for her and her relationship moving forward. I'm gonna cut the stem of Jesse Palmer. Just too many jokes in there. He was way too happy with the Avon stunt. He was like, "Oh, can you believe?"
He's like, we crushed this.
He was
It was his
way
idea, probably. It was his idea.
way too happy about that. Where I was like, "All right, man, what are you enjoying this?" It really he dragged it on. The timing felt off. It felt like we went through the whole thing with Zach, and then there was still 2 minutes to fill where they had to go back to they played the Paradise trailer, and then I was like, "Oh, we gotta ask Zach one more question to kill time." It just felt like it went on for too long and felt disorganized. So that is how I feel about that. And I think that wraps it up for this season of The Bachelorette.
Thank God.
Thank you guys.
Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube right now. Chicks and Amos YouTube. We are so close.
Please subscribe to the YouTube. And this season, I think we're going to be done with it pretty soon, considering Paradise starts next week. And I think that's what everybody is going to want to be talking about. Maybe we'll see Trent for Paradise. We probably won't.
We'll see. Who knows?
But all right, Kelly,
Nobody
Rhea,
knows.
thank you. Good night.
Happy birthday, Fran.
Thank you, guys.
Happy birthday, friend.
Thank you. Mwah. Good night. Goodbye, everyone.